he knocks on the door, and we welcome him in. But who is this visitor, and what kind of sacrifice did he make that the earth and all its states cannot forget him? This man once stood upon the burning sands of time, upon his eyes stitched a tale for eternity. He traveled the distance with a handful of friends and a handful of family, brothers, sisters, sons and mothers, and even newborn additions, and he helped them out like a pauper with his last remaining currency. He stood, and they took and took until he had nothing more to give in life than life itself. Yet life demanded more, until he had more fingers to count the loved ones, not spared like Abraham from the fires with a hailstorm of arrows, not spared like the throat of Ishmael, no sheep to replace this young one. There was no river to float a baby across like baby Moses in the Nile. No, this time the river was the villain of the story. Not spared like the people of Israel. When the sea was split open and the people fled to safety, no, this time an army of thousands swallowed them. And those who remained were paraded to the point that 40 years in the wilderness would have been sweeter. And neither was there an ark to save them like the ark of Noah 2 by 2. No, this man was left alone, drowning in his sacrifice. There was no hero to save this story. No David against Goliath, no King Arthur, no Hercules, no miracle to become or to be. So no healing words could say, nor love between teardrops say the value of his sacrifice. How much the sacrifice was worth. How much was this sacrifice worth? Cannot be quantified, for he gave it all, not for a throne or wealth or gold or power or anything that could be sold. He gave it all for something that most men would not comprehend, where philosophers would fail to follow the trail of thought to its end, and equations cannot simplify nor solve by algorithms. He gave it all for something that most men would not comprehend, and that cannot be measured in this earth, nor beyond the layered sky. He gave it all for the pleasure of the Most High, and in return he's become immortalized. And that, my friends, is the story of Hussein. But there's a whole different story when you look into the details. So then, now that you know the story of Hussein, let me tell you the story of the hands of Hussein. Let me tell you the story of the hands of Hussein. Let's go back to the battlefield. Hussein was thinking, as if it was yesterday when his hands were tightly held by his grandfather. They were tiny, soft, and knew nothing of pain. While his grandfathers were big, bold, and as comforting as rain. But the times have changed, and these hands felt no comfort, just blood between the crevices. Lost were the ones that once held them, and he wondered how many more pulses he would feel stop beating, or how many eyes he'd forced to close because they reminded him of the miracles that were once breathing. How many more young heads he would comfort because he was all they had left. He would look at his hands. How much more could they take? His hands were worn and his mind was torn. He could not choose which body was more painful to touch, nor which soul ached more to lose. Whether the embraces of the living burnt more, or the coldness of the body is gone so soon. But all he knew for sure, was that his back was still heaving. From that recent meeting where he had to lift 2 hands kneeling near a man he left by the river like a lunar silhouette. Where he had to lift 2 hands kneeling near a man he left by the river like a shivering lunar silhouette. His palms were still warm and his fingers were still wet. He dropped to his knees and held his brother like the day they first met, a moon enshrined in a cloak. His tiny eyes as a baby, too shy to meet his own. Too shy to meet his eye, was if an arrow had always been the reason why. Little did he know that he would eventually match his shrine, but that mattered little right now. He'd say, I need you to hold me up, brother. I need you to be my spine. Was that his most painful? Was that his most painful, or was it peeling the one who most resembled his grandfather from a spear like an angel who had fallen on splintered wings, holding each piece of what used to be a man raised to forever settle his heartbeat? Now wrapped in cloth and sheets, when not long ago he held him young, a father's lap designed to be his son's seat. And now the same lap soaks his blood deep, and the same knees that once rocked him now take him to sleep. Don't close your eyes, son. Don't leave me be. You're the final fragment of my grandfather. Don't leave me be. Was that his most painful? Or was it the baby sacrificed like a feathered dove, caught between his two nervous hands? If hearts were made of strings, that three-pronged arrow no doubt offered that final sting, slicing through that last remaining string that held his beautiful heart together. And now his heart was nothing more than an organ bleeding, crushed by the memories, like a woman he once knew who was crushed behind the door. To hold, oh how he needed her right now, to hold him like he was holding his martyred son. Muhsin bled in the womb, and here is Hussein holding another. But he still stood tall, despite being broken into uncountable fragments. He still stood tall, because Zainab needed one last look at her mountain. He held her tightly, and from afar it looked like a dark cloud hugging a mountain eroding. He held her tightly, as if he could give her all the strength he had left for the remainder of the journey, and he looked on in anguish for what he saw and what he could foresee. His hands still bleeding from the shards left by 72 broken ornaments, blown away by death like autumn leaves in the breeze, remembering and hoping that at that very moment his grandfather would once again hold his hand. Because it was as if it was yesterday when his hands were tightly held by his grandfather. They were tiny, soft, and knew nothing of pain. While his grandfathers were big, bold, and as comforting as rain. وَأَفْلَحَ مَنْ صَلَّى عَلَى مُحَمَّدٍ وَآلِ مُحَمَّدٍ.
على محمد وآل محمد. Again, sorry, I'd like to request for all the brothers towards my left to try and, please, there's some space here, to try and move us close forward as possible, as we've got some people waiting outside that are unable to get in. So if, with the loudest of salawats, if you could get up and sort of move, shift as much as to my left, your right as possible. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We also have our very own filter for this event. So if you are sharing on social media, on Snapchat especially, there is our own Muhibban al-Mahdi IMAM SAJAD filter on there. So if you are sharing, please use that filter to share and help spread the message of the event today. Salawat. Caged within the walls of this prison. Caged within the walls of this prison. The sun shamelessly beats down in embarrassment. I walk past a plot of land which is dug up with no name. Confused, and then I realize for the direction has written Sham, a Sham, a Sham. Starved, tormented, with death in prison, for Sakina still wished to see her father. In your tragedy, the fuel for my fire lives in your grief, Hussein. It is for you that I shed this pain. Till the end of time, Hussein, you will survive. In your remembrance, your love I strive. Your grief, Hussein, lives on till this day. Remembering your pain till my last breath, I pray. I close my eyes and I see your bent crooked back. For Zainab can bear no more. Her cheek she slaps. Matam is who I am. Black for you I wear. Beating my chest, it is my life for you I swear. No threat or ransom can scare my love away. For Hussein, my heart bleeds for you till this day. Without Matam, the remembrance of Hussein will fade. The fire in my heart will slowly begin to grey. My Matam is my soul, and I will never let go. Crying to the world, all to Hussein I owe. The grief and wailing of Zahra in despair, lying over the body of Hussein, how can she bear? She slaps her cheek in grief and broken heartbeat. For every tear, my chest, how can I not beat? Crying for Ali, crying for Hussein, crying for Abbas is only natural to me. The arrows in Akbar are setting me free. With every word, the blood is slowly drying. For Ruqayya's ears, my heart will not stop crying. The followers of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and the members of his household proved themselves unfailing bravery in defending our Imam, in defending him and his family, in defending the holy Imam in the killing thirst of the plains of Karbala. And a particular figure that night, Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam, he has been praised explicitly by Imam Sajjad. Imam Sajjad has said, may Allah have mercy upon my uncle Abbas, for he preferred his brother to himself. He showed extreme courage and sacrificed his life for his brother to the extent that his hands were cut off. So Allah, the great and almighty, give him 2 wings to fly with the angels in heaven, as he had given Ja'far, who has a great position with Allah, the Exalted. So all the martyrs will envy Hazrat Abbas on the day of judgment.
Abbas mazluma shahida, I hold your head in embrace. This is Imam Hussein speaking with Al-Abbas. I hold your head in embrace. I can't recognize your face. You have been torn limb from limb. You have been torn limb from limb. Blood covered sand, pieces of skin. What's happened to you, oh brother? your left arm and the other, oh, they left you in such a beaten state.
Next up, we'd like to welcome our next reciter for the evening. If you could welcome Brother Sayyid Haider Jazani with the loudest of salawats.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. I'll start with Arabic inshallah and end with English inshallah. تقول له يا ابن أمك تعيش من عندك من شفت الشمر يمك يتعنى تدنى المصرع ويركضيت مهضومة أصيد مرة إليك ويم جثتك نوبة ركض لك الشمر والله ركض لك الشمر وأنا أركض لكن صبقني بركضته صبقني بركضته ويم جسمك تدنى لك يا خويا ومعتني ينظرني ونظرك على صدرك قعد ويلي على صدرك ركفاع جقبل العين وبالجدم داسك ولا راسك راسك يا ابو اليمه سحب سيف وقطع راسك راسك وانا طلعت بالآه والونه انا طلعت بالآه I lost them all on Ashura. I heard Zahra in Karbala when I died. When I cried, I heard her cry, wishing me it was who died. To erase the thoughts I tried, when their blood flowed like a river, to ignore the wells I'm crying. I'm alive but feel so bitter. I remember them all dying. Zainab's screams made my heart shiver. On the side my father's lying, no strength to prevent his killer. I lost them all, my heart's broken from all the pain that we've taken. When I cried, I heard her cry, wishing me it was who died. When I cried, I heard her cry, wishing me it was who died. هذا لسجاد الحزن تمنيت أظل بكربلاء، وي والدي وي إخوتي وما أرحل ويلقى فلا، نحري تمن على الأرض ينزف مثلهم بالفلا، ولا مني جفن انقطع بس الحبل والسلسلة. صيحة ربي أودعه وردت راسي انقطع يمه. When I cried, I heard her cry, wishing me it was who died. When I cried, I heard her cry, wishing me it was who died. I see Layla and remember her son Ali slaughtered calling. Ramla's heart has stood forever. Qasim in Karbala falling. All the children cry together, yet Abbas is not replying. Hussein's head raised on his spear. Zainab's journey's just beginning. I lost them all, I'm all alone. Zainab screaming, our pride has gone. When I cried, I heard her cry, wishing me it was who died. لسه المواقف حاضرة ولسه اللهفة في الخيام، مو خافي صوت الفاجعة لما الشمر سب الحرام، وينادي يا خالي اركبي وصدر الأبو باقي انهشام. اتلفت يا عيوني وصيت زينب اتحجبت بالعالم، سمعت زينب تحشمه وردت راسي انقطع يمه. When I cried, I heard her cry, wishing me it was who died. أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد.
صلى على محمد وآل محمد.
Allah.
Thank you to Brother Sayyid Haidar Jazani for a wonderful recitation. Can I again request, I know it's very tight and there is not a lot of space here as it is, but we've got a lot of people who can't see to my right, your left. So please, if you could try and shift as much to the right as possible. Salawat. صل على محمد وآل محمد. In order to keep these events progressing and continuing to even bigger scale as we are now, we are always in need of your support, your trust, your help. Salawat. As I was saying, in order to continue these programs, we need your support, your help, your trust, both financially and your time. So if this is something you want to be part of, to help organize, to help spread the message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and you have little expertise or you have lots of expertise, we want to hear from you. And we want your time, because we are always in need of volunteers to hold events throughout the years. So please, if you would like to invest and for it to be very rewarding, it is very rewarding, and to continue to help hold these great events. If you're interested in helping and sponsoring and volunteering, then please see myself or one of the other volunteers around who will take your details, and you can become part of the Muhibban al-Mahdi Youth Foundation team. Salawat. And in order to keep our projects alive and going, we have an estimated revenue just for our normal lecture series around £50,000 a year. Unfortunately, we're only a fifth of the way there, so we're considerably short of our fundraising target. So I would like to implore you guys, if you haven't contributed to Muhibban before, to please set up a standing order at the stall downstairs. It's very straightforward. Or if you'd like to make a one-off donation, then please do so as well downstairs. There are volunteers downstairs to help continue to keep the message of Imam Hussein alive and to help spread it, especially in the northwest region. For every standing order, we also have an offer at the moment where you get a free book which has been written by Sayyida Marna Shuhani, which is quite expensive on Amazon, I believe. Salawat. I would like to also extend our thanks and gratitude to the 10th Day, who have helped sponsor this event, and for the fantastic work that they are carrying out in spreading the message of Imam Hussein to non-Muslims. So inshallah, we have a stall downstairs as well on behalf of the 10th Day. So if you'd like to see some of the work that they are carrying out, then please feel free, and we'll also have a short announcement by them later on in the program. Salawat. My life knows and is nothing but Muhammad. Muhammad, with it began the example of perfection. For Muhammad we wait the reappearance of direction. 1200 years and counting, eagerly awaiting Muhammad. Muhammad is Mahdi, for Mahdi is Muhammad. Salawat. The light emanates, shining, illuminating, sparkling the face of this lady. If only they knew the pearl of the Almighty, then maybe they would not have been so foolhardy. The Sayyidah named as Zahra, for she shines brighter than forever, fragrancing the lands with her purity. She is a depiction of perfection, fathered by the Prophet and married to the lion. Sanctity does not begin to appreciate the true worth of this lady, the mother of mothers, gifting the masters of paradise, so we can cherish till the end of time. If only we really knew and we opened our eyes and realized our mother, but there is no mother like this mother. This rose is not just a rose, but a garden full of roses. Like a hand, a flower that gives its fragrance to even the hand that crushes it. Maybe they had not heard of this beauty, for it is pure in its majestic glory. They deny such an episode, for they realize the great danger in this story. Sometimes the nature of reality is that the unthinkable is thinkable. Who would have thought that such a rose, blossom nurtured in its prime, would fall to the irony, where the rose itself is crushed like a flower, where the walls of nature rumble, where the grounds begin to shake and the skies begin to weep. Oh Fatima, from your broken chest the blood begins to beat. The pain engulfs, the lion chokes, Zahra's rib has just been broke. They ask why I cry. They ask why I cry. For my mother who has been tortured, I reply. Tears stream down my face, my heart displaced with pain. I hear of your story, I close my eyes. Terror I envisage, part of me dies. Trapped between the wall and the door, slowly the blood begins to pour. I close my eyes, terror I envisage, part of me dies. Unable to breathe, ribs cracked, still the nail pushes deeper in fact. In silence the lady suffers, whilst I wail and scream, oh my mother. The ground shakes, the skies weep. Fatima, from your broken chest the blood seeps. No words are spoken, the throne itself is broken, yet the death of Mohsin will never go unspoken. The flowers wither, the life departs, the graves turn, the heart cries, the body aches. The house is ablaze, the door is crushed, the pain engulfs, the lion chokes. Zahra's rib has just been broken. After the enemy looted the tents of Hussein, they set the tents alight, burning all of them. It was a scene of chaos, it was a scene of stress. Lady Zainab had to assemble the women and the children and account for all of them. While deciding to save their lives, Lady Zainab is seen as the leader of all the women and the children. She mustered all her strength to save the remainder of the family of the Prophet. The decision was made by her knowing that many tribulations were still to follow, as had been narrated by her brother. IMAM SAJAD says, by Allah, when I look at my aunts and my sisters, tears choke me because I remember the day when they escaped from tent to tent and the caller of the people was calling, set fires to their tents, set fires to their homes of the oppressors.
And the 72 are no more. For the severity of this tragedy there is no cure, no medicine, no remedy, no level of comfort I can ask for. An airship, an air of hardship, pieces of flesh cry. Cries of anguish and a strange silence, a silence from the women of Bani Hashim, overpowered by laughter of ignorance. The bodies of Hashim, intoxicated with fumes of the burning tents, whilst the Queen of Islam were the victims of evil and torment.
Next up, I'd like to invite to the stage Brother Nouri Sardar for his spoken word. If you could recite the loudest of songs.
صلى على محمد وآل محمد. Let's have a second for the love of Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. And a third with the loudest of your voices for the love of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. I feel like we've lost our way. Though I understand that these tears we shed for Imam Hussain will be weighed on the day of judgment like gold, and everything we did in his way will be like the most beautiful good deeds, and my heart bleeds. Hussain is all that I need. He's the thirst of my spirituality and the flame that my heart feeds on, and whenever I'm in need I get down on my knees and I plead with the words Ya Hussain proudly on my tongue, and I know that he heeds, and I walk the road he walks on, because I know where he leads to heaven. Where he leads as the master of the youth of paradise, where his father holds the keys, and the only way I'll get there is if he intercedes for the wretched person that is me. But there's more to just a tear. A tear needs to mean something. Crocodiles cry, but when it comes to meal time, it doesn't mean anything. This tear is worth so much that it's measured by a fly's wing, but if we don't pray, we don't receive intercession, i.e., it isn't worth anything. If we spend 10 days making a majlis but can't spend 10 minutes praying, then there's clearly something wrong with that love that we claim to have. That's really worth investigating. If we use the hands that we use to lament Hussain to beat our kids or beat women, then how ignorant are we of Hussain's uprising? The same hands Abbas lost when sacrificing all that he had for those women and children who from thirst were dying. If we oppress others, no matter how small that oppression seems to be it mocking or bullying, harassing or belittling, then whose side are we sitting on? Hussein's or Yazid's? If we give our money to the majlis but earn that same money through cheating and stealing, or we stand up when our own rights are taken away but don't stand up for others who are bleeding, or we see oppression and we hesitate because we think about all that it might take from us and our comfortable living, then we aren't taking on lessons from the same story that we keep hearing. If we can't ignite the Hussain within us, then which Hussain are we lamenting? If we can't defeat the Yazid within us, then which Yazid are we condemning? If we can't implement Hussain in our life, then which Hussain are we remembering? So to say that you love Hussain while you don't follow Hussain is a red herring. Because in the book of Ashura, his enemies can be red herring that the reason he rose up was for the verse read that his grandfather red herring revelation in his ear, yearning the perfection of mankind's morality, and yet we have the indignity to live in humiliation and not in dignity. And I speak for myself. If I want to be besides Hussain, then I need to let go of everything in my life besides Hussain. Everything that doesn't realize Hussain, everything that fails to live by Hussain, and by extension that means God, because Hussain did everything he did because of God, who himself wants nothing more than for us to be like Hussain. Ask any one of us who inspires us and will be like Hussain. Sad though, that so few of us actually want to be like Hussain. صلى على محمد وآل محمد.
They call them tears, they call them response to extreme emotion. In sync with our sadness like waves, but there's something different when it comes to tears shed for Hussain. They say in the hereafter they live on to extinguish flames and unearth the unchained glaciers that break away and begin to melt our sadness and coldness that we possess in vain. And when we build our lives in temporary form, like sandcastles, he breaks the shore and blows them away and reminds us never to kneel in shame, not for a man nor king, for every man must see us. eye to eye, the same, a drop in the universe, identically weighed, as it falls and dries and disappears. The many lessons we learn from tears, a natural anesthetic that breaks away. Cascades down cheeks and heals the pain, and that's precisely the story of Hussein. 72 tears leaving earth, selflessly dripping away into eternity, where their names hold definition, and us mortals chasing expeditions, trying to understand each one by one, the brave, the selfless, the young, and how these constellations guide the lives of those who call themselves the followers of Ali, and the 9 generations of sons, both in life and in death, an encyclopedia of stars plotted across the night skies, brought to life with every turn of the year, where the planets mourn and the feet walk and the chest beat like fields of sowing seeds, and the angels oversee their allegiance signed and sent, where millions pledge their souls, hearts and years, and chant, please honor us, Ya Hussein, by taking our tears.
So to truly commemorate Hussein, stand up for someone suffering, be it from racism, domestic violence or bullying.
Think about the secret burdens that people are carrying.
Think about the apartheid and lobbying.
Those who mute voices when there is nothing to say about suffering.
Be there for the black man shot dead for his skin coloring.
Or the woman with the acid in her face for covering.
Be there for the depressed soul whose smile is shivering.
The broken in need of comforting.
Be there for an orphan's dreams crushed by his own starving.
The growing teen crushed by the burdens.
Be there for the refugee seeking refuge and yearning for a living.
Or the dreams that capsize at the boats that stop floating.
Or a native's land weeping from oil profiteering. Commemorate Hussein by acting like Hussein. Bar Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad salawat. Let's have a second loud salawat, please. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you all. I'd like to thank my head Baan for giving me this privilege of being able to stand before you and recite, inshallah, some verses of love about the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. The poem that me and Taha wrote, I think we wrote it from a perspective of just trying to get ourselves firstly to remember that the great Majlis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam is not where it ends. The way I see the great Majlis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam is that it's where you come to be inspired to go out into the wider world and make the changes that Imam Hussein himself wants to see in the world. So I want each and every single one of you, inshallah, to try and reflect when you leave these doors of this mosque. Don't just shed a few tears, as great as tears are, and then don't take those lessons into the wider world. When you leave this mosque today, inshallah, take the lessons that you've learned from today into yourselves and ask yourself, as I ask myself every single day, how I can change the world for the better, just as Imam Hussein wanted it. And I reflected a lot on this message recently when I went to Iraq. The past 2 years I went to Iraq to do the ziyarat of Imam Hussein and left the glory and glamour of the central area of Karbala where the holy shrines are, and went out into the wider suburbs to see orphans and widows living in extreme poverty. Indeed, the heart breaks for any orphan, any widow all over the world. We see what's happening with the Rohingya Muslims, for example, and so many others that are being oppressed all around the world. But there's something about meeting with these orphans and widows, especially in Iraq and especially in the holy city of Karbala, simply because many of them are widows and orphans for the reason that their fathers went out to fight ISIS, to fight terrorism, and gave their lives as the ultimate sacrifice to keep us here in the West safe, away from ISIS. And the thanks that these orphans and widows get usually is living in a house, barely a house, with little provisions or anything. And I always tell myself, and I was telling some of my colleagues this year in this trip, that I don't see these children as simply, Iraqi orphans that we must throw money at. I see these children as future artists, future directors, future thinkers, future scientists. But unfortunately, they do not have the same opportunities that we do. So I ask you all as well to, inshallah, try and support as much as you can the orphans of Iraq. Through any organization that you see fit, I would definitely recommend the Sajad Foundation, who are doing fantastic work. I've seen firsthand in the holy city of Karbala, providing for these orphans, making sure that they get monthly salaries, making sure that they get the things they need in the house, and even trying to facilitate marriage for them to help them in the wider world and help them grow, essentially, and grow families of their own. I want you to take a journey with me to one of these houses. We've left, like I said, the glamour and glory and beautifulness, the beauty of the inner city of the holy city of Karbala, the shrines, and are heading out into the suburbs, which is still the land of Imam Sayyid. It's still heaven, but unfortunately it doesn't look like heaven. You go into one suburb, you drive down a road, you take a left turn off the main road, off the busy main road, and you go inside an area where there is rubble and rubbish. In the holy city of Karbala, in Jannat al-Firdaus, they call it Karbala heaven. In heaven you see rubbish and rubble everywhere, where no human being should live. You go inside one of these areas of rubble and find that there's a house, or a hut should I call it, behind a pile of rubble. You walk inside this hut or this mini house, or whatever you want to call it, and you see a mother and her, let's say, 3 young daughters who have lost their father because their father went down for ISIS. And you speak to this little girl. She's very smart for her age, maybe about 8 years old, but very smart for her age, very mature for her age. You can see inside she's suffering, but she's trying to hold herself back. And you ask her, what's your story? What happened? Tell me, little girl, tell me your story. And she looks at you and she says that Daddy never came home, and I wasn't sure why. I was confused. My eyes still warm from the kiss that he left me just the other night. I can't sleep tonight though, because I hear Mummy crying. He had a job to do, she would tell me. I kind of understood, but I didn't really understand why. I know that he had to travel far away to protect us from some bad guys, and now my insides hurt because he said he's coming back, and I can't believe he lied. My eyelids are alive to the tears I cried. Dad, are you coming back? Because they're telling me that you died. Baba had to go, he'd tell me. There are some bad people that want to do us harm. He'd hold me real tight, his loving hands stroking my palms. I refuse to live in humiliation, he would say. So we've taken to arms. They're hijacking our religion and pretending to know our prophet. There's nothing prophetic about their evil, and I will not stand for it. No one else is going to stand up and defend the world against them. The world's against us again, and we're stood firm against them. He kissed me goodbye, right there on the neck. He left a piece of himself there, just a tiny little speck. The spectacles, his spectacles almost hanging off his nose. A spectacle awaits him, and it's almost as if he knows. I remember those trips to Arabia. He'd never buy me anything cheap. Wherever I wanted to go, he'd take me. He'd always bring me back gifts to keep. He'd tuck me into bed every night before I'd sleep. His hands would dry my tears if ever I would weep. Whenever I loved something, I'd come back home and find it here in my bedroom. The exception was my dad. I kept loving him, but I never found him there. It was a few days later. I heard Mum crying. The sun sat differently in the sky that day. Instead of burning strongly amongst the clouds, it lay. My father, whose soul is but a piece of mind, didn't return from the front line this time, and it's not giving me peace of mind. And I've never known Daddy to not be on time, and there's a fine line between knowing something's wrong and everything being fine. I knew something was wrong. It could be nothing, but I'm tormented by my mind. Is it shaitan, or is it logic telling me that it's all a sign that Daddy isn't coming back home this time? My mother came into our room, not holding back the tears. She couldn't hold it in any longer. Her heart as dishevelled as she appears. The way her voice was trembling, I hope the angel of death could hear. I can't describe the fear that grappled my little heart. Ya Allah, the fear. She scared me the way she wept. I was just as scared of what she would say. Just as scarred as I was then is how I am scarred today. My love, she said, he is no longer with us. I'm sorry it has to be this way. Your father isn't coming back this time, my love. He's been taken away. Mum, what do you mean? I answered. Did Daesh capture him today? It's okay, Mum. He'll be safe. We just need to kneel down and pray. No, you don't understand, my love. Your father isn't coming back. He left the battle, but his friend was left behind, and he wanted to have his brother's back, so he headed back and he turned his back on everything he had, and he never came back. They found his body. They found his body. Your father is dead, my love. Your father is dead, and he isn't coming back. It took me a long time to accept it. I expected everything except it. I expected the world to topple on its head, but not for my dad to not be home or never be home whenever I come home for the rest of my life. Be strong, my mom says once she wipes away all those tears. It's time for us to band together. Life won't be easy from here. From here on, no dove, no heron will fly above our house, a house like a head without hair on. We'll be without food because we have no breadwinner. That's just the way this country is. That's just the way this country is. A widow is a bread loser. We'll have to move out into a hut because we can't afford this rent. But love it like your home, my love. Alhamdulillah, it's better than a tent or better than no place at all. Just like tea and a bit of bread is better than no food at all. Like walking an hour to school is better than no school at all. Like water that isn't clean is better than no water at all. And like having no father now is better than never having had a father in your life at all. If I could do anything in this world, it would be to turn back the time of the earth and hope that time would reverse and my father would be here, and I tell him not to go. He died for something great. I know that doesn't change the fact though that whenever I think about him, my tears like rivers flow. So hold your dad close and don't ever upset him. Hold your dad close and don't ever upset him. Kiss those hands that build day and night just so you can sleep comfortably in peace with no worries or fears that he'll ever let you go, because the time you spend with your dad, you'll never get it back once he leaves this world. Some dads die of old age. Some dads die when we're young. And some dads are taken from us, leaving our households broken and struggling. So take care of us orphans, because my dad, he died for something great. My dad, he was something great. Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad salawat. For the love of Prophet Abbas alayhi salam, can we get one more loud salawat, please? Salawat. I hope inshallah that each and every single one of us can do what we can to make life better for these orphans and widows who are currently living in Iraq. And truly there's so little that poetry can say or I can say in regards to the experience that you feel when you go and visit these houses. I still remember last year I went with Abbas and Shibir Tijani to meet some of these families, and immediately Abbas, I still remember, broke down because he was saying, I have a child just like the child that I'm holding in my hands right now, and why is it fair that this child I'm holding right now gets to grow up without any opportunity? You know, so I plead with you all to do what you can to help these orphans. Alhamdulillah, we've been given so much in this world. Everything. We can come here to have a majlis, you know, we come here in nice cars, we go back home to nice homes, and whatever difficulties we do have here are so petty, the difficulties they have over there that they simply do not deserve. That being said, I hope that inshallah, those of us who are able are planning our way toward the holy city of Karbala for the pilgrimage of the Arba'in, that is the 40th of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. I still remember the past 2 years I've been given, the past 3 years, sorry, I've been given the wonderful opportunity, along with the Tijani brothers, Brother Imran Datu as well, and a few others, to go to the holy city of Karbala and do ziyarah during the 10 days of Muharram. But it's such a strange feeling because whenever I go into the shrine in the 10 days of Muharram, my prayer is always, Ya Abu Abdullah, please bring me back for Ziyarat al-Arba'in. That's the one worry that I have, that I won't get to come for Ziyarat al-Arba'in. And I hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never takes away from you or any of us the privilege of being on that walk towards the holy shrine of Imam Hussain in Ziyarat al-Arba'in, because the prayer my eyes made before they had even seen was, oh Allah, bless me with Ziyarat al-Arba'in. The prayer my eye made before it had even seen was, oh Allah, bless me with Ziyarat al-Arba'in. Before I became Hussein, called my name. On earth, my birth, his earth, my worth. God created me from clay, and yet he would tease me with Hussein's dust. Yearning Karbala's scent, reaching him was not a choice, but a must. Since then, children, till when their men have a yearning to reach Hussein's grave and reach it year after year. I watched this before I was created, and I yearned to shed a tear. I prayed, earth swayed, dismayed. I made a promise to God and Muhammad that when I was created, I would reach the land that swims in the dust on which I prostrated, like a moth to a flame. I walk, we flock, they mock, they talk, but I erase it with the sparks of love from my true walking feet. For beneath my feet heaven lies, if death I ever meet. Lions lay in, real men begin. I walk and I won't need a lion's help, because I have become one. In fact, I see lions shy away from me when toward them I come. I hush, I crush, in flesh, Daesh. Every step I take crushes their heads and crushes terrorism. And with every Hajj and Umrah, it crushes Wahhabism, to bring them to shame. Mighty, weighty, 40, plenty are the days which we are given to crush all of Hussein's enemies, and we crush them with our numbers which can outweigh the 7 seas. Listen, glisten, hasten and shorten the list of excuses you've chosen to not stand before his grave. Understand that your master craves you just as much as him you crave. Seize it, own it, live it, light it, the fire that burns within you. Crying out Hussein's name daily, be the one that reaches his grave and cries out in tears. Finally, cry out, void of blame. Heartbreak, I ache, awake and alive is the morning of Hussein. Despite how much we have died, despite how many times our tears for our master we've had to hide. Names crossed, hearts tossed, souls lost. What cost? A holocaust of lovers of Hussein that lasted centuries. And now our freedom on the road toward Hussein the whole world sees. Love's chars are scars and stars are ours. For every soul that walks toward Hussein, a star watches in awe. The tears enter the eyes of Fitros, and from Jibrail's they pour. What wonderful fame, so rise up. Rise up, don't stop, don't swap, don't drop the flag that you're holding to show Abbas that his flag can still fly. Every time you twirl it, it brings joy to his one working eye. Rise up, don't stop, don't swap, don't drop that flag that you're holding to show Abbas that his flag can still fly. Every time you twirl it, it brings joy to his one working eye. Incite his might with light, you're right to walk holding his flag. And every time it flutters, his heart flutters. Remember what he taught you, beside that flag, nothing else matters. He's kneeling and healing and wailing, the complaining and whatever else comes to him into his shrine. As people beg from him, they beg God and Abu Fadl. They beg God and Abu Fadl, and through him God gives all to them. He cries just the same. So don't fall, don't fail. Recall the wail of the daughters of Hussein as they were marched upon that desert. They walk with you as you walk. They walk with you as you walk. Don't you dare question it. Believe it. Don't quit. Don't sit. Commit. Own it. The length of that road shall shorten the road between you and heaven. But what is heaven really? When you're walking towards Ali's children, safely, strongly, proudly, Ali and his son Hussein shall embrace you when at last you reach his shrine. And he'll tell you, I'll come to your grave, just as you have come to mine. Death I overcame. The prayer my eyes made, before they had even seen, was, oh Allah, bless me, Ziyarat al-Arba'in. Before I became, Hussein called my name. Before I became, Hussein called my name. Thank you so much for listening. Inshallah, I hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts from all of us our deeds, inshallah, and blesses all of us with the Ziyarat of Hussein alayhi salam. Thank you so much for listening. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I'd like to next invite a representative from the 10th day, our sponsors for the evening. for a quick announcement. Sallallahu Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I have very little time, so just a quick announcement. But before the announcement, just to let you know something about Muhibban. So basically, Muhibban Al-Mahdi Youth Foundation was established in 2007, and since then it has achieved a lot of very big milestones. So a number of youth have benefited from the spiritual, physical and educational activities. As you can see, Brother Raza himself, Dawood, Ali, Musaddiq, loads of others. They have arranged Umrah and Ziyarah trip, and also the longest and most successful Quranic classes in Manchester being run since before I was in England. And not to forget, one of the most successful and unique project to spread the message of Imam Hussain in the Western world, known as the 10thday.com. If any of you don't know about it, please let me know, because I would blame myself for that. But talking about the 10th day, I remind you of the Manchester Arba'in Peace Walk on Saturday, next Saturday 28th at 1 p.m. On this particular occasion, I address ladies in particular, because Imam Hussain trusted his mission to Lady Zainab alayhi salam. Hence, your role is very crucial in spreading the message of Imam Hussain. So please ensure that not only all of you, but your families, your friends, whether Muslims or non-Muslims, they all attend. Make it your priority, please, and if possible, shuffle your other engagements. So inshallah, we see you all here in this center downstairs on next Saturday at 1 p.m. We get together at 1 and we start the walk at 1:30. So please don't forget, put it in your diaries, in your mobiles, and thank you very much. Salawat.
Sallallahu Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. On the back of Brother Nouri Sardar's poem in regards to Arba'in, inshallah Muhibban al-Mahdi and the 10th day are both separately taking Qafla for the pilgrimage, for the walk from Najaf to Karbala. In honor of that, we made a short documentary which we're going to play to you, which is about 6-7 minutes long. And before that, we have hoodies specially designed for this year for Arba'in, which are on sale downstairs, which you can place your orders and we will post out to you. They are $14.99, and all profits from the t-shirts will be going towards Muhibban to cover our events and to help sponsor any events and helping to propagate the message of the Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim. Salawat. So if I can ask the brother to play the video.
see, as far as the eyes can see in front, there are individuals. As far as the eyes can see in the back, there are people. There is our...
It's just amazing to see that the love Imam Hussein holds, and the love that these people hold in their hearts for Imam Hussein, that they're willing to go through anything just to be there on the day of our wedding. Take time out and we will fight and strive for you, Abdullah, that we will continue to show our declaration of love and support, regardless of what time and what era we're in.
Now is we make a move, we go to pole 150, we have a rest, we have a nap, power nap, we have food, and then we start again and rest at 250. Rest at every 100 poles for 1 hour until we reach 471 when we sleep for the night.
Was a humanitarian message, was against oppression and injustice in his time. Vices of evil had taken over, and it was imperative for him to stand up against all the injustice that occurred and rising against injustice and oppression.
There is a member of every nationality here, all working towards the same goal, all striving for the same cause, one community. One aim, one mission, one goal. So our plan is to walk until pole number 470, where we will be stopping for the day at the Al-Zahra Crest. A mawqif is a tent or a house that's been set up for the Zawar of Imam Hussein to come and rest, have food, sleep, and then move on.
Finding the walk so far? Not too bad, alhamdulillah. We're going to get a rest out. Walking 200. Every 100 stop and take a rest. Okay. So alhamdulillah, so far so good. It's my first time in a row.
MashaAllah, okay.
The first time. And how are you finding it?
Amazing.
Okay.
A bit overwhelming.
I feel great. I've just had a hot shower and I've prayed my Fajr. I've got up. I think I'm going to go back to sleep for another couple and I'm going to start my walk.
When I see other young people, I was really shocked. Especially 30 million athletes in my life. Walking through all the way, one road, everybody, and everybody from all different cultures, different countries. It's like a clever feeling. First experience, amazing, I will never forget.
This is for the khidmat of Imam Hussein, nothing better than to serve the Zahir of Imam Hussein. And we're all helping each other out, we're all very tired. You can see Zain here, he's doing good in his back. And we're all very tired from the walk. So alhamdulillah, we're taking the time out to make sure we each feel better and we can go back on the road to Imam Hussein and help the Zahir reach Karbala.
Difficulties that we're facing, everyone looking at the whole world, millions of people going for the same cause, and going in the middle of Imam Hussein. Feeling is indescribable. It's like you're walking in heaven.
I've never seen anything like it before. I've never seen anyone the generosity of the Iraqi people, the love that they showed towards the Zaireen of Imam Hussein from all over the world. It's completely amazing.
If you have not been here before, I would suggest just be here once in your lifetime, and trust me, you will come again and again and again. I decided in my heart that next year I'm coming. No matter what happens, next year, year after year, I will try my best to come every year, inshallah.
That you face during this walk. One of which, firstly, can be the entire length of it. It's 3 full days of walking. In those 3 days, you walk and you walk and you walk. Yes, you are walking with a purpose, but this walk makes you question everything. It makes you humble yourself. It makes you really test your ego, and it makes you question that ego.
Every single person needs to experience this. Millions of people that go there, they go there to accept the reality of Imam Hussein's message. They go there to acknowledge his great sacrifice. And it's important for every human being, regardless of any religion, race or background, to follow the inspiration that Imam Hussein left behind.
Just past pole number 1000, throughout this entire walk, you notice that there are children walking, there are disabled individuals walking and crawling to Imam Hussein, and you stand there looking at this spectre, and you see yourself as an able-bodied person finding it difficult, complaining over the tiniest of things, small blisters in your feet, and there are people here with no feet. Small tiredness, bits of tiredness, small issues that you may face throughout this walk. You look at someone, you look to your left, you look to your right, and there are people of different ages, different races, different abilities, doing the exact same thing that you are trying to do as well.
We're leaving now, which is about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. We want to get to Karbala before Fajr, because that's when there's going to be a lot of traffic of people, so to speak. So inshallah, yes, we're walking towards heaven. We left heaven and we're going to heaven. So nothing greater than this walk. This walk is a path of heaven, and inshallah we're going towards Imam Hussein to renew our allegiance to him and to let say the Fatima Zahra Salamullah alayha know. As we swear to you, Ya Zahra, we have not forgotten you.
We're now 6,000 meters away from the shrine of Imam Hussein. We're inside Karbala, and the recitation from
The land of Karbala is filled with grief and sorrow, and that every step that you take, that grief overcomes you, and you can feel that grief when you are in the land of Karbala.
We arrived inside Karbala. We are walking our final few steps to Imam Abbas, and from there we will walk down Bain al-Haramain into Imam Hussein, say our salams to say the Shuhada. Everyone is personally reflecting, crying, people are shedding tears in anticipation to see their beloved Imams.
صلوات. صل على محمد وآل محمد. Sit up. He was bound in heavy chains prior to his forced departure from Karbala. The distance was travelled barefoot by our Imam, on camels with no saddles, by the women and the children. Our Imam was made to walk behind the caravan of the enemy soldiers. He fell so many times due to his illness and weakness, yet the caravan will still not stop for him. He stumbled to his feet. He continued. He fell again. He stumbled back to his feet, yet he was still forced to carry on.
Medicine was fed to me in the form of whips and chains. Medicine was fed to me in the form of whips and chains. Spikes cut deep into my throat, slicing skin, neck, exposing veins, walking through the desert. He eats the newly orphaned around, wail over their own fathers, their heads on spears they found.
If I could now invite Brother Ali Fadl to the stage.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
Brothers and sisters, before I actually begin, I understand that you've been sitting for quite a while and it is painful to sit down on the floor, but may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your deeds and the pain that you are going through for this blessed majlis. So what I'd like to ask from you all, inshallah, to number one, make space for the brothers and the sisters sitting outside to come inside the hall, and number two, inshallah, to get, I believe, a bit more blood running through your legs, inshallah, just to hopefully grab a bit more energy into the rest of the program. رحم الله من ذكر القائم من آل محمد. If you can move as far to my left as possible, I can still see pockets of space. If we can fill those spaces, that'll be greatly appreciated by most of the organizers as well. And when you're ready, inshallah, take your seat. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Many thanks to the organizers, Muhibban al-Mahdi, as well as the 10th day for this program. Indeed, Hussein and the tragedy of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam lives on further than just the 10 nights, and it's refreshing to see so many brothers and sisters out in their droves in memory and in honor of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. I want to mention just one small story, just a very small story, just to paint a picture of why the light ignites in our hearts year upon year when remembering Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. There was a king in a kingdom. With his horsemen and his advisors, they went out to hunt one day. During this hunt, the king saw a deer. As he wanted to attack the deer ran away. So the king and his horsemen and advisors tried to chase after the deer, and they lost the deer. However, during this attack and this rush, during this confusion, the king was lost. During the woods, inside the woods, in the jungle, he was lost, and so he couldn't find his way back to the king's men or back to the castle. It was now coming close to night time, and so he found a hut in the short distance. Approached the hut, knocked onto the door. A woman came out and said, "Can I help you?" And he said, he didn't mention that he was the king. He said, "I've lost my way. Do you mind if I stay here just until daybreak so that in the morning I can find my way back home? It is nighttime." She says, "By all means, you can stay. My son is coming back to bring us some food and water. And whatever we have, we shall be at your service." The son comes back with one sheep. This one sole sheep. The intention was to feed the family, or feed the mother and the son for a short amount of time with this just one sheep. The king eventually told them that, "Look, I am the king of this kingdom. And so the son gave him everything that they had. Everything he had was this one sheep. Everything he owned, and this is key here, everything he owned was this one sheep, and he gave it to the king. The next day, the king thanked them for their hospitality and their generosity and their kindness. And he said to them, if there is a time in the future that you need any help from me in my kingdom, by all means, please knock on my door and I'm at your service. Time passed. And there was a time where the woman and the son were in desperate need. So the woman remembered the king. She said to her son, well, why don't you go back to the king and ask him for some money, or ask him for some food or some shelter or anything, so that we can overcome this difficulty. So he goes to the king, knocks onto the gates of the palace, and he tells the gate and the guard the story. And the king lets him in. So when the king lets him in, he says to him, what is your story and how can I help you? And the man replied, well, we're going through a lot of difficulties at this moment in time, and I remember when you said that if I am going through any trials and tribulations, that I come to you, and here I am. And so the king said to his advisors, he said to them, what shall I give this man? One advisor said, well, he gave you one sheep, give him one. The king said, no. So another advisor said, give him 10. The king said, no. Another advisor said, well, give him money or shelter or a house or a position. The king said, no. The king looked at the man and said to him, you gave me everything that you own in your whole lifetime. Everything that you own, you gave to me. So in response and in reply, I should therefore, in your moments of need, give you everything that I own. And that means my whole kingdom. When bringing this back to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, and why there is a light in our flame, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, on the day of Ashura, on the land of Karbala, gave everything he owned. Women, children, companions, his neck, his chest, his head, his heart. He gave everything he owned in the service of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do? He created a community to mourn and to remember and to shout the name of Imam al-Hussein year upon year. And so I want you to raise your hands all together in light of this story, and in light of the heart that is burning for Imam al-Hussein, and in light of the ziyarah of Arba'in, where we see millions of people running, walking towards Imam al-Hussein. I don't see enough hands high up into the air. Let Imam al-Hussein read this. Let Imam al-Hussein read what's in your heart, and I want you to respond. Labbayka ya Hussein! Labbayka ya Hussein! Labbayka ya Hussein! Another who also gave everything that she had for Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, and in response Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave her the position of Bab al-Hawa'ij al-Baneen upon receiving Sayyidah Zainab, upon receiving Imam Sajad alayhi salam and the calamities. What was in her heart? She says, my whole life I've raised sons, but for you Hussein I give them all. And I know for Zahra I would do the same. I'd give my soul. On Karbala's sands, Abbas lost both hands. Arrow which deny, Zainab starts to cry. I do it again, all the hurt and pain for Hussein. And I know as I wait, when the news arrives, my And I know as I wait, when the news arrives, my heart will break. I see Zainab's face I don't recognize. Then I'm hit with fate, see it in her eyes, all the hurt and pain. My Abbas has been slain with Hussein. But this hurt I feel will never end, will never end. And I know time it heals, but this hurt will never end, will never end. صلى على محمد وآل محمد. Just as I've taught you, everything has a right, yet which were fulfilled with my own father's plight. I've written a treaty, answered me tragedy. Hussein, 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 Hussein. I taught you that each everything has a right. These are the words of IMAM SAJAD alayhi salam speaking, written by Imam SAJAD. I've taught you that each everything has a right, and everything is precious in Islam's sight. And now for my words, with my patience I fight. They laughed at my words, set my treaty alight. They laughed at my words, set my treaty alight. They laughed at my book and they burned its pages. And now the head of my rights a spear raises. I wrote them poetry, answered me tragedy. Hussein, 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 labbayka ya Hussein. Let me hear your voices, inshallah. Very simple. Hussein, 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 labbayka ya Hussein. Ha ha. Hussein, Hussein, come from the heart. Hussein, 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 labbayka ya Hussein, labbayka ya Hussein. I begin speaking of the rights of a child. You must advise him in his character mold, and show him how he's a part of you in this world. If thirsty, don't let water from him be held. If thirsty, don't let water from him be held. For oh listener, I've seen children thirsty, the light from their eyes thirst had taken away. I told them, let them be, answered me tragedy. Hussein, 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 labbayka ya Hussein, 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 Hussein. Hussein, labbaik ya Hussein, labbaik, labbaik ya. The right of our wife, all her care and effort, Allah gave you her all her peace and comfort. I told this to Qasim upon that desert. Care for she who heals your wounds when you're hurt. He looked at me and told me I understand, but tell her to cry tonight, by death I stand. Advice that came from me answered me tragedy. Hussein, 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 labbaik ya. And it come from the heart, mashallah. Hussein, 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 labbaik ya. I told my uncle your hand never extend to what's forbidden from you, don't let it tend. To what's forbidden from you, don't let it tend. Thirsty when he held water within his hand, he threw it away and with honor he'd stand. He threw it away and with honor he'd stand. Oh hands, this water from you is forbidden. Don't touch it, even if on dust you've fallen. The whole world it would see answer me tragedy. Hussein, 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 labbaik ya Hussein, 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 to Karbala, Hussein, 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 labbaik ya. I tell you that have right even your two eyes. I tell you that have right even your two eyes. What you shall see shall define your smiles and cries. How often to my eyes I'd apologize. In you, your father, here upon the dust lies. In you, your father, here upon the dust lies. The eyes, they are the door to contemplation. The doors of my eyes saw my father fallen. For my eyes I'd worry, answer me tragedy. Hussein, 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 labbaik ya. MashaAllah, Hussein, 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 labbaik ya Hussein. Your father has rights and for him be thankful. Comes from him in you anything beautiful. To my father his rights I'll explain and tell, and to his severed head I bid him farewell, and to his severed head I bid him farewell. The rights of my father I learnt and knew. The rights of my father I learnt and knew. I buried him alone and told him thank you. I buried him alone and told him thank you. I taught divine decree, answered me tragedy. Hussein, 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 لبيك يا حسين. Hussein, 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 Hussein. ما شاء الله ما شاء الله. Hussein, Hussein, لبيك يا And inshallah, this cry of Labbaik Ya Hussein is in our hearts, in the hearts of our children, in the hearts of generations to come. Assalamu alaikum ya Aba Abdullah, wa ala arwah allati halat bi fina'ik, alaykum minni jami'an salamullah abadan ma baqit wa baqiya al-laylu wa an-nahar wa la ja'alahu Allah akhir al-ahdi minni li ziyaratikum. Assalamu ala al-Husayn wa ala Ali ibn al-Husayn wa ala awlad al-Husayn wa ala ashab al-Husayn, khususan Sayyidi wa Mawlai Abi al-Fadl al-Abbas wa ahlahu Zainab jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for listening. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
Salawat. I appreciate you guys have been here for a while now and are getting quite restless and tired, so I'm going to be quite prompt and move on to our next reciter before I invite Sheikh Muhammad Abbas Panjo, who has joined us to recite the Messiah for tonight. And just before I invite the Tijani brothers, I'd like to implore you again, guys, for your financial contribution, your standing order. We are well behind on our target for fundraising, so if you guys can support us and fill out a standing order form before you leave tonight downstairs, whatever it may be, £5, £10, £20, whatever you can do, that'll be great. We also have a donation bucket, so please, if you could contribute generously as well to that, that'll be fantastic. So if I could invite now the Tijani brothers with the loudest of salawats.
Even if they cut my body, even if they cut my body into 1,000 pieces, each piece will call your name, your name, Hussein, your name, Hussein. Your name, Hussein. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Respected scholars, distinguished guests, my elders, my brothers, sisters and children, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First and foremost, we would like to extend our gratitude to the organizers of this event. Inshallah, even though we can never do the justice
of the Masa'ib of the Ahlul Bayt. We pray that within our midst, Sayyidah Fatima al-Zahra, who is present, accepts our azar, accepts our lamentation, and accepts our tears, inshaAllah. Over the course of the next 20 minutes or so, we've been requested by some of the brothers to do the Masa'ib and to remember the day of Ashura. And inshaAllah, we'll focus our recitations on two personalities on the day of Ashura. One was Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, and the second one is Sayyidah Zainab salamullahi alayha. Can we have a loud salawat, please?
Before we begin, could we just ask for the lights to be dimmed, please? Because I want you all to close your eyes and cast your minds back to that day. I want you to really take your minds there on the day of Ashura 61 AH. Very soon, time of